I hope I'm in time, folks.
Don't worry, Roy. Sometimes it was close, but with a little help from Trigger, you always arrived in the nick of time.
When I made my first picture under Western Stars, they really were exciting days. Old Trigger was 4 and I was 26. It wasn't like work, just play. Back in '39, it only cost a dime to see a Western every Saturday. And I feel like I've grown up with everybody that's alive and kicking today.
Partners, brush the trail dust off your memories and think back to a time when there wasn't a kid with a dime in his pocket who could get through a Saturday without watching their hero, Roy Rogers, make the West safe for law-abiding citizens.
You're going to jail, not just for rustling cattle, but for murder. Come on, get up.
And he was really heroic. I mean, the thing about Roy is that he portrayed a really nice, good guy, and he is a nice, good guy. And it's just fabulous to do something with him.
What K.T. Osland was doing with Roy on this day in Nashville was singing. She and some 35 other famous country singers, Roger Miller, Tanya Tucker, Eddie Rabbitt, Marie Osmond, Emmylou Harris, Randy Travis, they were all there to sing backup for the King of the Cowboys on his first record in 10 years.
I feel like I just died and went to heaven.
These seasoned performers acted like they'd been transported back to childhood.
Give me your hand. I'm going to shake hands with Roy Rogers before I die. I'll tell you that.
Richard Young of the Kentucky Headhunters.
Everybody liked Roy Rogers. The grandmas liked him. The mamas liked him because he was good looking and he sang for the women.
But when I think of all that gold, think of the trouble it's going to be getting it out of the ground.
The kids liked him because he carried pistols, and they had cap pistols. And the daddies and the grandpas liked him, too, because he was a real American man.
I'm going to need 4 volunteers, and it's going to be rough.
Volunteers? No problem. Try to comprehend these numbers. In the 40s, 80 million people a year in the U.S. and Canada alone were going to a Roy Rogers picture.
I kind of feel like I was a babysitter for the mothers in those days because they could take their kids to the theater in the morning and pick them up at 5 o'clock that night, and they'd be full of popcorn and candy and whatever.
Roy Rogers and Dale Evans sitting in Nellie Bell, the only Jeep with a co-starring role on a TV show.
Nellie Bell, you're acting like a fat old lady.
Nellie Bell and everything else that's played a part in Roy's life is on display at the Roy Rogers Dale Evans Museum in Victorville, California. A stroll down these halls brings into focus their 60 years in show business.
All these years later, you just don't remember everything. I don't. And I guess I remember the important things. I remember Dale, my leading lady, and I remember Trigger as my horse. A few things like that. But,
Dale, of course, can't forget Trigger. He always got higher billing, even after she married the star.
Oh, yes. I didn't mind that, but I was third. There was Roy, and then there was Trigger, and there was Gabby Hayes, and then there was Dale.
Oh, that was just a billing, but she never played second fiddle to anybody.
But she did have to play the part of the damsel in distress.
Roy!
Did the light go off in there?
Don't be funny.
Get their guns.
A little sweet, a lot sassy, and almost sexy, it was the 1940s and 50s movie version of the modern male-female relationship.
Gabby asked me to escort you safely home.
Put me down! Put me down!
The romantic sparring brought a comedic subplot to Roy's never-ending quest to put bad guys behind bars.
Be here. I'll have you know I'm a deputy sheriff.
You ought to put that badge away and only wear it on Halloween.
Well, I don't have to stay here and be insulted.
No, Dale, you and Roy have to hurry off and change costumes for the big musical numbers that punctuate every show.
We'll sing a cowboy song with our hearts in tune.
Their hearts might connect, but their lips weren't allowed to touch. In only one film did Roy even get a peck on the cheek.
Why didn't you do that in the first place? That's a sure way to wake me up.
On the cheek, not on the lips, on the cheek. And he got a mess of letters saying, we don't want that mushy stuff.
So in keeping with the cowboy code, Roy always left the girl in the end and stayed true to Trigger.
Trigger hasn't got a pretty figure.
In fact, even now, Roy can't bring himself to say goodbye to his golden Palomino. He's got him permanently corralled in the museum.
We became a wonderful pair. I just love Trigger. That's why I have him beautifully mounted in there. I just couldn't put him in the ground. He meant too much to too many millions of little kids that grew up with us, and I can go in there and look at him. I get tears in my eyes sometimes when I see him, because he was flawless. He never made a mistake in his life.
And what better reward for Trigger's faithfulness than being surrounded for eternity by his best friends, Dale's horse Buttermilk, Trigger Jr., and Bullet. And who knows who may be next.
I told Dale when I died, just skin me out and put me up on Trigger.
In the meantime, museum visitors have a good chance of seeing the real live Roy Rogers. He frequently shows up to shake hands and have his picture taken.
Our problem is most people still keep thinking I'm 40 or 45 years old, and I'm 79, and they add up fast.
We expect our heroes to be young forever, people who can't be defeated by outlaws or age. Roy's celluloid image was pervasive. To the public, the consummate movie star.
Did you ever get that feeling in the moonlight?
Except he was only making $75 a week. That was barely enough money to keep Trigger and Oates, much less the growing Rogers clan in boots. So Roy went to the head of Republic Pictures and struck a deal.
You know, he wouldn't pay a nickel to see Aunt eat a bale of hay. You know, he's a real cheap character, and he just said, do all the commercial tie-ups you want, but don't ask me for a raise.
Soon, 400 different products carried his name or image. There was a Roy Rogers clock waking kids to put on Roy chaps and shirts and spurs and boots and hats and six-shooters. A bowl of Roy cereal for breakfast was followed by lunch from a Roy and Dale lunchbox and thermos. Roy has saved everything, and it's all here, from a custom-made Pontiac with six-shooters for door handles, to costumes, to parade saddles, to his first guns.
Do you like being Roy Rogers?
Yeah, because I am very thankful, because when I came up during the Depression, I was Leonard Sly, and I couldn't hardly get enough to eat. I picked peaches in San Fernando Valley.
Leonard Sly found picking a guitar was easier and paid better than picking peaches, so it wasn't long until he was Roy Rogers, the singing cowboy. And 60 years later, Roy is still singing.
And when you're trying to outrun that setting sun, here's hoping that you do.
Here's Hopin' with Randy Travis is one song on what will be an album of duets matching Roy with famous contemporary country artists.
Here's hoping.
Roy Rogers was such a big part of my generation, you know. He was like Uncle Sam. Roy Rogers was America, you know. That was it.
Ricky Van Shelton has lots of company in the Nashville chapter of the Roy Rogers fan club, and they were here to do what they had all done as kids. Join in on the chorus of Happy Trails.
Happy trails to you, keep smiling until then.
I don't think there's anyone in America who wasn't affected in a really good way and thought of them as stars, but also friends somehow.
Trails to you, till we meet.